Welcome to Fourth and State. I'm David Haynes, and the opinions editor at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. And I'm joined today by Betsy Berkhemer-Credaire, and she's recently written a book about corporate boards and why there aren't more women on them. Betsy, welcome.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Thanks
Delighted to be here.
Thanks for being here. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you found in your research leading up to the book?
Well, the book is called The Board Game: How Smart Women Become Corporate Directors. And I found that women don't know how to get on corporate boards. Men are very good at networking and developing the business relationships that can lead them as a logical ultimate goal for their careers, but women haven't been trained to network that way and to be thinking about serving on corporate boards. But it's a great ultimate career goal for after one's 30s and 40s, get on boards in their 50s and try to be on boards before retiring from your day job.
What do the numbers show in terms of percentages of women on corporate boards in the U.S. right now?
Well, in the U.S., of the Fortune 500 companies, there are only 16.6% of the seats on corporate boards are held by women. Mm-hmm. And that translates to about 5,000 board seats total, 5,330, and about 900 of those are held by women, and some of the seats are held by, a woman might hold 2 or 3 seats, as male board members often do. But the numbers are starting to improve because what we're seeing is a great many retirements by board members who have reached the age of 75, and they might have served on boards for 10, 20, or 30 years, but they're of the baby boomer generation. So it's over the next 10 years, mostly these are men who've been on boards for so long, but some women, and then that means that there will be openings that rarely occur on corporate boards, but because of the automatic or the required retirement age at 75, there should be quite a few openings, and if women can position themselves at the doorway in order to be considered as candidates, we'll have a good chance to increase the numbers.
Now, I think in Wisconsin we're somewhat lower than the national average, aren't we? We're about 14%, something
somewhat lower, but really it's the top 50 publicly held companies in Wisconsin, and the percentage there is 14.4, and of the board seats are held by women. But that's also improving, and we were very pleased to see that Alliant Energy in Madison has 5 women on its board out of 10 board members. 50%.
So half the board is women.
Yeah. That's our goal, that we'd love to be 50%, but most companies have maybe 1, maybe 2 women on boards.
What's the business case for having more women on corporate boards?
Credit Suisse came out with a report in August of 2012, which was the result of a 6-year study of 2,000 companies and how they did. And women, the companies that had women on their boards performed better in profitability and growth and taking less risk, but they also recovered more quickly from the recession, which was very interesting and to be applauded. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the companies performed well just because they had women on their board.
It's not necessarily cause and effect. It could mean something about the management at the companies that sees the value of enlightened management, and maybe they pick more women for that.
And our goal is just to have, when I say our goal, women in general, just to have more women at the table making decisions that affect not only the companies, but affect the customers the companies sell to and the political environment the companies are in. There are a lot of decisions made in corporate boardrooms that affect our daily lives.
Now, you told a story, you spoke at Rotary earlier today, you told the story about a chain of grocery stores, a company that had no women or one woman?
Had no woman until my friend Betsy Sanders was brought on the board as the first and only woman.
And what did she find when she got there?
Well, she looked around the room, and she served on this grocery store chain board for many, many years. But when she first got there, she realized she was the only person in the room who had ever done the family grocery shopping.
She shopped at a grocery store.
And saved coupons and worried about, buying the groceries on a budget. And all the guys, bless them, don't usually have to worry about that.
So there's some value certainly in personal experience as well. Now, I also wanted to ask you about a resolution that was passed in California recently that does what? Could you explain that?
Yes. We thought there are quotas in Europe, quotas that are mandated by law at 30% or 40% of board seats in Europe. Not all the countries, but France and Spain and Italy and both Germany and London, or Germany and England, have voluntary commitments to 30-40% women on boards. But so we thought in California, by we I mean the National Association of Women Business Owners, who are potential candidates for boards, we thought, well, maybe California could start a state-by-state momentum across the U.S. if we could just get something done. Could we get a quota? It turns out we couldn't get a quota, and that was okay, because this country is a democracy. People really don't like quotas, and sometimes we certainly. A token woman taken on a board because a company had to take her, and being a token, that's not a good way to start a business relationship. So what we decided to do was we met with the women legislators of California, both houses, the senators and the assembly, and said, could we do something? And they came up with the idea of having a resolution, which is not a law, meaning it doesn't have enforcement. The police aren't going to come and arrest the CEO for not having women on the board. No fines yet. But it does mean that the government is watching and urging all public companies in the state of California to have at least, well, they'd like to see 3 women on any board that has 9 seats or more, but at least 1 woman on the boards in 3 years. So we're going to be able to track progress from now until the end of December 2016 and see what happens. And I hope that Wisconsin and Michigan and Illinois and other states where the women are very committed to this issue and really want to be part of business and make a difference in business, I hope that each state will pick up the rather simple steps that we took to get this done, and that not too many people are going to stand in the way. It feels like the suffrage movement must have felt when women were trying to get the right to vote. It just feels like that.
Well, we'll be watching to see what happens, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Well, thank you, Dave. I love Milwaukee, by the way. I'd like to come back.
Well, you're welcome back anytime. And that's Betsy Berkhemer-Credaire, who has a new book called The Board Game, How Smart Women Make It on Corporate Boards. Thanks for being with us on 4th and State.